My name is Abina Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Kemau to Cape Palm, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Boakai, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talking about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, hey, reliable information, history, talking about culture, hey, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai, and we are live. I am presenting the show from my village. As you can see behind me, the elders are listening. And so we want to welcome all our viewers to our Friday Night Debate. We're going to be talking about some issues, including the Liberia National Police enforcing the court order evasion of the CDC from their headquarters. We're going to talk about that. Also, President Boakai's trip to Japan with what many call a very large delegation. We also see that the president appointed a committee to look at prices. So, the way the price is looking, prices are supposed to come down, but they don't down Google. So let's talk. So we have a committee headed by the vice president to make sure the vice president said, well, we went through that. We started meeting with the people who selling flour, the people who selling gasoline, other people who selling rice. So we meeting with them 3-3 to reduce the price. Is that going to work? Also, we've seen that the drug epidemic, the way people are taking drugs, distributing drugs, selling drugs in Liberia, it has gone way overboard and it's scary. It's alarming. What is government strategy? These and more tonight on Friday Night Debate. Let me welcome Mr. Dr. Clarence Pearson of the New Progressive Wing of the Progressive. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Dennis. Mr. Jai, it's a pleasure being on the show tonight. I want to say hi to my fellow panelists and to our viewers and listeners out there. It's a pleasure being on the show. I'm looking forward to a spirited discussion for the good of our country, Liberia.
Thank you. Let me welcome our man, Jimmy Eastman from the nation's capital. Welcome, Jimmy.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here with these distinguished gentlemen. I hope I'm able to learn something from our discussion, and I hope we provide that to our audience as well.
Thank you. Let me also welcome our colleague from Waplo Institute and also focus on Liberia political analyst, Mr. Mohammed Sharif. Welcome, sir.
It's great to be here, Dennis. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. If it is Friday, it's Friday Night Debate, and so let's discuss. The first thing on our agenda, when I was thought about a debate, I wanted for us to do something a little different, right? So since I talk about the debate and raise the issue, I've been asking people, I've been researching what are people saying about these issues. For instance, when we talk about the drugs, people already saying stuff, right? So what is it? So I want us to start with the president's trip to Japan, right? So the president trip to Japan, I want us to argue the good side and the bad side. Some people say it's good. Some people say it's not so good. Some people say these things will bring, but we could have done it differently. So I just want to present to you before we start what I've heard people saying. Those who are in favor of the trip say the diplomatic engagement, the president's presence strengthened Liberia's bilateral relations with Japan and other developing partners. Other people say a 40-member delegation means high spending on flights, on hotel per diem, while the economy is not doing so well. Those in favor say there's an investment opportunity because this offers a platform to attract Japanese investment in infrastructure, energy, and technology. Other people say no. We have economic hardship at home. Public workers face salary delays, and ordinary Liberians are suffering, making the timing of such an extravagant trip insensitive. They say when the president is showing commitment, a large delegation signals Liberia's seriousness in engaging the global business so that if the president want to talk about commerce, the commerce minister will be there. Want to talk about this one, the president will be there. Others are saying this contradicts the austerity promises that the Unity Party did. The Unity Party condemned large delegation under former President Weah. Doing the same is hypocritical. Those in favor say there's a networking potential. What I said before, multiple sector representatives can explore diverse opportunities. Others say no, it's unnecessary. The over-representation is unnecessary. You are sending the minister, the deputy, the assistant, everybody. That's unnecessary. Others say this is national branding. When we go to these people will know all more. Imagine from President Boakai's beautiful English, there were a surge in people researching for Liberia. So this is good. Others say is lack of transparency. We are not clear on the breakdown, how much it costs, who is traveling, and all that, and the expected returns. So there is distrust. Finally, the people who are in favor say this is possible economic deals will be struck, right? The trip could result in aid, trade agreements, a partnership beneficial to Liberia's economy. Others oppose say, let's look at the opportunity cost. The money spent on the trip could have been used to pay delayed salaries or fund essential services. The reason I did this is I want us to see all sides so that you can come with an open mind and tell me whether the people are so wrong and you are right. Let me start with Mr. Sharif.
Thank you, Dennis. I have a very open mind about this, as open as as open can get. But I will tell you this, the president of Liberia, Mr. Boakai, is spending, and his officials are spending too much time in the air. They're piling sky miles, more time up in the skies than on Mother Earth, and that is a problem because the government needs to pay attention, to domestic situations. A large delegation of this magnitude takes away from a lot, takes away from school buildings, take away from social economic development initiatives in the rural areas. So, as you fly around, you have to also consider the opportunity costs. What is it costing the country? What do we forego to take this large delegation? I mean, look, you have the Minister of Information on this trip, for God's sake. You have all these people. What are they doing? What are these people doing on this trip? People going to Japan, to Tokyo, and all these different places, Yokohama, and all these different places for sightseeing, to go shopping. And people taking you know, their loved ones and stuff like that on a trip like this, because for some of them this is, an opportunity, a perk that you get in the public sector. You don't get this anywhere else in Liberia, and so it's a waste when you look at this. And then is finally what I want to say on this issue is, um, there's no dividend, there's no return on the investment. So you and I would not know now when the delegation returns how much was expended on this trip. We're not going to know what dividends was derived from such a trip. What were the benefits of this trip? You're never going to know that. You're never going to see a report from the government regarding this kind of trip, and therefore it is a waste of the national resources. It is a waste of our time. And therefore, we continue to remain underdeveloped. Dennis, the president met with the mayor in Japan, the mayor of Yokohama in Japan. How many times have the president met with the mayors of Liberia? Has there been a mayor council meeting since this president took office? Has there been a superintendent council meeting, or how many times? Maybe there's been superintendent meetings, but have there been any mayor council meetings? Not that I know of, where you're calling the mayors and all these different people to put their ideas together so that you can build a platform, you can build an idea on that, you can build a development idea on those micro ideas from the rural areas. That is not happening. But we go out into foreign capitals and we meet with mayors and all these different people of that nature because we want to go spend some money.
You're muted.
Dr. Pearson, I lay out some pros and cons of the trip. Where do you stand?
Thank you, Mr. Jai. There are a couple of things that that I must bring to the fore in this discussion. I must thank Mr. Sharif for some of the things he already listed and mentioned, cost benefit factor, opportunity cost, and stuff like that, wasteful spending. But I want to take another approach, and we'll still address the questions and concerns that you raised. So, for instance, we talk about the diplomatic engagement, the pros and the cons. Well, visibility, the president brings a level of visibility out there. The cons there is that at what cost? Sharif is arguing, at what cost? We hear that there are investment opportunities out there. The president being there may attract some opportunity investment. But again, what is the return on investment if you were to spend $300,000 today to fly to Japan, and what does that bring back in the immediate result compared to a long-term result that's going to impact the people when it comes to the hardship people are going through? So the people see you spending the money, even though you have the mindset that is going to yield results, but it's not for the immediate relief of their burden. So there's going to be concern there. And then we talk about show of commitment. Oh, Liberia having a strong number of people going out there show that we committed to changing the narrative out there. But then other someone says back home, like, excuse me, well, I thought we should be doing some austerity measures in the country. You still just left. There's a gap in our budget. First quarter budget report from the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, LRA, showed that we were in deficit on our revenue envelope. Our second quarter shows you claim that we have some $11 million excess in terms of revenue generation. But when I look in the report, I see $9.9 million. They call it transit revenue, which means that revenue have not landed. So it's politically motivated and placed in there to show you have excess when the excess is not there. That's a lie. So you're still not meeting. So if you say, yeah, you have excess in budget, so you can spend the money, but yet you're spending on education, it's falls short. You're spending on healthcare, falls short. You're spending on security, falls short. You're spending on so many budget line items for the quarter, fell short. So if you raise more money than you say you were supposed to raise to support the budget, why didn't you meet the full expenditure of your budget? Why is the UL president claiming that the professors are complaining for salary arrears? The university is run down. For just sheer minimum maintenance is not there. So yeah, then where's the austerity plus your show of strength? So let me say this, Dennis. There's something I want to mention in closing on the first point here is that there is something between rights versus expediency. You may have the right to do certain things as a government in your governance structure, but you got to look at the expediency. Is it expedient for me to do these things now? Is it expedient for me to go the right I'm going? What is the balanced diplomacy? All right, to create the right optics in the international community. What is our domestic policy as opposed to our international policy when it comes to where we are financially, economically? Can the finance minister be having a major press conference and telling the world that Liberia is going through a difficult period, let us pray, and then the president leaving with a huge delegation of government officials going out of the country, spending the money you say you don't have? How do you balance what is happening in country and the communication you're showing by your actions on the outside? And last but not the least, Dennis, I will say this for a fact, right? President Boakai cannot be telling us that the country is in a dire strait and that our international presence in our foreign diplomats that we have out there, and we have a full representation of foreign diplomats out there, and besides that we have foreign embassies in our country. So there's no, you can tell me, say our foreign diplomats who will pay hard-earned public money cannot represent us fully. And you cannot tell me after we should have hired competent people to represent us, 5 or 6 or 7 presidents cannot take a portfolio of what we intend to galvanize in that conference and make an able representation of our country out there. So there's so many contradictions in balancing diplomacy, and that's where I want to stop for now. You're muted.
Let me come to you, Jimmy, and welcome J. Victor.
Okay.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Okay.
J. Victor, I'm hosting the show from my village, so at some point I have to translate to the people behind me. Jimmy,
I may speak directly to the people instead of speaking through you.
All right, please do so. I don't want to be your Jesus. Jimmy, there's a separate topic about our diplomacy. I mean, the ambassadors that we are appointing, I don't know what the president is looking at, but that's another story. So when Dr. Pearson mentioned our diplomat, the first person I thought about was George Solo. I said, but what was George? But that's another story. We'll come to that. Jimmy, what's your take on the president's trip? We lay out the pros and cons. And there's a talk that when president goes somewhere, at such conference, there's supposed to be something. I mean, I don't know where that comes from, but that's what people expect.
Great question. Let's approach this matter strategically. TICAD 9, which is the Tokyo International Conference on African Development, and the Expo 2025, they represent unique platforms for Liberia to deepen trade and investment with Japan. Agreed. But to maximize opportunities like this, Liberia should adopt a prolonged engagement strategy. Okay. First of all, we should have a national strategic alignment. In other words, which sectors that Liberia wants to build, we have to come up with our own development plan. Not soon somebody having this, then we jump up, we'll go there. No. It has to mesh with our own development plan. We need an investment roadmap that will lead us to bankable projects to tailor to the Japanese. So there should a lot of diplomatic and strategic preparation prior to this meeting. I think I heard Mohammed Sharif say, how many times have they met with mayors? Do we allow do we collect data from the various people on ground, the various mayors, as to what they need and how can we strategically leverage our diplomatic ties with Japan to bring them some relief? Are we doing the requisite homework first? You know, we had a program the other day where you had guesting us was Mr. Muhammad Sharif, another Muhammad Sharif, who said a lot of what we see is just symbolism. Symbolic, we've gone and taken a large delegation there. But did they do the requisite homework, the requisite research? Have we aligned our policies? Have we prepared a strategy? Do we have a roadmap of how we're going to get to where we want to go? If that hasn't been done, your trip is hardly going to be fruitful. You see, these people are not elementary people. They understand investment. You have to bring something to them that they will recognize. They will say, okay, you know. But I saw the other day in the meeting with the President of the United States, always said, oh, we have minerals. And could you help us find them? This is not a strategy. You have not put your plan together. That's what you have to do first before you get in front of these kind of people. And we have the brains to do it. But why are we not doing it? Because it's all symbolic. We don't really want to do the rudimentary things that will definitely yield a comprehensive plan that we can present to somebody and they say, yeah, these people are serious. They want to do something.
Even before you learn, that's why they took the brains to Japan.
Again, nobody has a monopoly over intelligence, and we don't want political figures necessarily concocting our plans. You see, we feed the leaders. We who always, I've always considered myself a technocrat, and those executives, we put together we do the research. We put together a plan that we present it to the executive and let him go sell it. Let him go tell the world. But if we're not doing that, if our experts you're not giving them a chance to prepare. If you're meeting with Japanese mayors and you haven't talked with your own mayors as what they need, we're selling ourselves short. If we continue selling ourselves short, we'll continue to appear like, oh, we have minerals. Could you help us find it? This will be our plan going ahead. We are better than this, but you have to give the people who have the requisite skill and knowledge chance to at least do your research for you, and then you can go and sell the idea.
Thank you, Jimmy. I'm sensing a little bit of frustration. This is on Jimmy late, but we'll see why. Let me welcome Mr. Langley Nya Clealing. Langley.
No one knows the future.
Oh, Kialing. Oh, okay.
That's an African name.
All right. That's good. But welcome, brother.
Yeah.
J. Victor, let me ask you this, because this whole trip is, somebody was telling me, said deja vu all over again. This is not the first time we are talking about trips, right? Our presidents, our leaders, they're making trips. And when they make such a trip, they go with large delegation. This is nothing new now.
Dennis.
We cry about this yesteryears, and we are crying today again. And this trip, what is different about this trip? Or are we not? Did we not learn anything from the past that we could use here, or is it that we didn't really understand governance? This is how it's supposed to be. Because for me, I've never worked in government, right? So if people get there and do the same thing, I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe this is how it should be. Are you thinking the same way?
Dennis, can I come here a little bit?
After Victor.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, Victor, you're still muted. I don't know.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm going to tell you, Dennis, Dako. You heard what I just said?
Oh, and that's all. We'll let you finish.
I just got past you and spoke to the Pope behind you. But listen, Dennis, I know my brother here wants to come in, so I'll keep it very brief, right? I think when people say government is continuity, this is what they're talking about, right? These conferences are held all the time. There are people in that Liberia, in that country, who attended the last conference when George Weah was in office. They went there. They knew what happened. They know what to expect when you go to these meetings. But this concept of when you come into office, you got to sweep everybody else who was associated with the government before you, I think is a major problem. It doesn't help. It doesn't help the country. What is different about this conference? I don't know if there's anything different, maybe other than the size of this delegation and the confusion over just the president's schedule. You know, what is wrong with going to Dr. Weah and saying, you know what, I'm going to this conference. Talk to me about it. How should I prepare for this conference? What did you not do right? What did you do right? Help me out here. George Weah is a Liberian. It is the government of the Republic of Liberia for and by the people. So I don't know what else to tell you except that I really think there's help available, but this government and probably the government before it, the arrogance, I don't understand it. The two former presidents sitting down, who I really believe could help a lot, but I don't think we're making use of them. If anything, we're antagonizing them. So, and this government has made several trips. I mean, where else have they not gone? From the States to China, to wherever. But they're coming back almost empty-handed all the time. It's because I think they're trying to reinvent the wheel when what they're doing really has been done before. You go to your predecessor and say, look, help me out here. I don't think there's any shame in that. Actually, I think it makes you look smarter to do that. And I hope they will do that. I really hope they will do.
Thank you. There's no shame in that like that. One reason why I look so good moderating is because of the people behind FOL, people like the guy who just spoke, right?
And they're pushing him back there too. They give
right.
you.
Langley, Kelly.
Yeah, okay.
All right. What you make of this? What you make of this trip?
It's business as usual. All right, and I'm more of a technician. I had a privilege to work post-war Liberia with the Chamber of Commerce, focused in the private sector. As an educator, economist, and lawyer, and diverse, all right, there's something that spoke to me, and let me just share with you guys. We have to get in politics now. We try to be silent, but Liberia is bigger than other us. Let me tell you, Liberia is a very good country, especially our educational curriculum. I went to elementary to law school in Liberia and in Minnesota. As I said, I prepared myself for the cybersecurity and bar test. And I appreciate the University of Liberia Law School. It prepared me, I can compete anywhere. Post-war, I'm saying this to mean that Liberia has potential. But you know what's going on there? There are a lot of people who dare to perpetuate illiteracy and arrogance. Some of our colleagues, I tell you, went to class with them. They know they can't compete. Besides being corrupt in the system, there's more than come here. They get green card, they come to America. As soon as they say government changes, you see them running, looking for government job. You know why? Because they don't want to be accountable. They don't want to be productive. They don't want to be competitive. Tell me. 3 years. I sent some documents to you, Dennis, and I want for it to be public. Liberia post-construction and reconstruction. Since I left Liberia, what, 10 years? That document was written by UNDP. Everybody acting that they didn't know what to do. It's there for Liberia, the roadmap for Liberia's development. They printed everything on mail. All the work, UNDP, World Bank, is there. All we have to do is just follow it. No amount of donor money will build Liberia. Somebody from the Ministry of Education, I'm a teacher by profession. The children sitting on the floor in the rural area. Then they come and say $89 million grant from World Bank. You know what? They do nothing. Before that $89 million comes to Liberia, $30 million still on the ground for people who facilitated and negotiated. I mean, that's donor policy, that's that reality. It's about time that we think Liberia. Look at this. All right. I'm just telling reality. In my hometown, where I'm from, Nima, the children sitting on the floor and writing. So as I speak to you, I try to develop a program with the World Scout Organization to see how we can go and move things in Liberia. I started in my hometown. How do we have people from around the world volunteer to set up school system from the rural area? Like, for example, IT, solar energy, and things like that. To add insult to injury, I got my two daughters who just came from Liberia, 11 and 13 years old, Dennis. I'm paying for an accelerated learning program for them. Our high school, we did quadratic equation in 10th, 11th, 12th grade. It's 8th grade material where I taught in public school in America. We got to know that the world is being competitive. And sadly, one of my mentoring, when I was at the Chamber of Commerce, I had to go to Mauritius. Mauritius is an island country, small country that had no resources in Africa, but number one country. Everywhere we went in that place, Dennis, there's elevator, there's current. You go to the poor business, everybody around the world won't go there for vacation. Look at Liberia, untouched, especially your southeastern area there. It's very green. The only country I didn't go to was Lofa. Liberia needs no donor for. All we need, technicians. That's why I'm sitting. I want to lead the private sector arm. If God gave me the life, the private sector arm to transform that country. We paved the road to Lofa. We paved the road to Merida. Liberia open. We don't got to beg anybody, but we can go ahead with the discussion.
Thank you. You know, to the people that behind me, you know, the thing we're talking here is President Boakai, the new president. You know, he carried plenty of people. They go to Japan. Japan too, they're not big country, they're small, but they just know book. And we know book too, but they went there. They say they go talk business, blah, blah. But the people that follow him, they too plenty. The big man will be there. The person next to the big man will be there. The person next to that person will be there. So they say, why you will talk now? That one person can talk. Why? And how much you're spending? Nobody know. What you're getting? No head, no tail. So what we're talking now is why we keep going to these places if we can do the thing ourselves. We know what to do. You'll just start stealing the money. The people that know the thing, you're put in there. But if you don't put in there, you want to take shortcut can be there.
Say waste resources.
So don't discuss it as waste. So let me ask you this again, Victor. We saw it's hard not to compare, right? Because when President Boakai was coming to power, there's a lot of expectation that he would do the right thing, at least better than what we saw with President Weah, because there's a consensus that President Weah didn't know what he was doing. But that too helped us because he didn't know what he was doing. So sometimes he was scared to do some things. But the people who really know it is that they say, I will do it, go sue me. Now, how you looking to me? How you look to you?
Yeah, Dennis. I mean, comparison, I don't think is a bad thing. There's always a point of reference, and I think we always do that. We compare the most immediate past with the current to gauge how we're doing. There's nothing wrong with that, especially so that there was so much made about the incompetence of this immediate past government by this current government. And they gave us the impression that they were the bigger boys, and they were coming in, to take over from the incompetent young fellows who, didn't know much about governance, all of the talk about experience and all of that, and so yes, we continue to gauge them relative to the immediate past government, and also relative to what they promise us. I mean, they made all kinds of promises. Even when the president was taking office, what about no car getting stuck in 90 days, right? What about the 100-day deliverables? What about the $8.9 million given to public works? And so they came in with a lot of promise and a lot of expectation riding on their ascendancy. And look, they've been in for almost 2 years. We don't see anything. So yes, I mean, they set the stage for us to compare them to the immediate past government, and also to gauge them against their own promises. There are things they told us they would do. They will solve the drug problem. They said that. Where are we today? I understand drug is even much cheaper today than it was under the past government, and we know what supply and demand is. The more plentiful a thing is, the cheaper it becomes, right? And so this government is really failing on a lot of fronts. And yeah, we continue to compare them to the performance of the past government, which they very, very vociferously negated. And then promise on top of that. But where are we? 2 years in, are they still funding? Can't find a way. Prices are high, bank exchange rate is high, food is not available, drugs are on the increase, corruption is at a rampant level. I mean, what is not? And so I don't know what to say except that, to express the sum total of the expression that we all feel that this government is failing on all fronts, and they don't want to say it. When you say it, and then you become, persona non grata. Some of your friends will not take your call. But you know what? I would rather speak to, my fellow Liberians who understand, what the suffering of our people is, than to make friends with people who understand what the sufferings are, and they refuse to do anything about it. People.
Thank you. Dr. Pearson, Jimmy talked about the strategy, right? That do you have a sense of a national strategy? Louis Brown, used to, he said it before, he had a very good way of putting it. We cannot, the strategy cannot be, dinner or conferences. What do you think is the strategy here?
Thank you, Dennis. Good question. I'll answer in 2-4. Welcome, Morris. You wanna say something? Say you just come in, Dennis. 1 second.
Oh no, thank you, Dr. Pearson. I appreciate that. Wait out for my turn.
Okay. So Dennis, I'll answer in 2-4. One is that I would think in my mind, based on my own orientation, that you have to be very strategic when you are trying to yield certain results. So, for instance, particularly to this conference, and I will just say this for government officials in future, our Oprah has the parable: the one who chased all the birds on the farm at the same time will not catch none. But the one who focuses on one or two of those birds might catch one or two of those birds. So you can't aim at all the birds at the same time. We do have a national strategic plan. We do have the strategic plan from agriculture. We have one now from water and sewer, and we have one for the Electricity Corporation. I think we get one that I just came up from Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, particularly for Ministry of Finance. So my question here to me is that what is it that we, someone, I think Jimmy made it, say it right. What is it that we have agreed upon among ourselves and say, listen, what is it that we're going for and after this conference to get at all cost? And then we started talking beforehand. We engaged our embassies, the Japanese embassies or consulate general in our country beforehand. We galvanized private sector investors and maybe local partners, stakeholders who got some interest in those areas. And let us go and make up a big show of public-private presence to see whether we can attract something just not just from mere political standpoint, and get one or two of those contracts and beg it and come home. And then the next thing I'll say when it comes to our home front, Dennis, we cannot stress this enough. No amount of public administrative costs in the national budget is going to take Liberia anywhere. That current cost of 80% in our budget for salaries, tissue, and printer and cars and things, it's going to carry us nowhere. Let me say this, Dennis. We need to invest heavily, I would say, in infrastructure, because a lot of our people have diverse skills in infrastructure, low housing investment. Put money, big money in that. Taking people from MAT, taking them from MOT and Tash houses into low cost housing, and let them pay against this in a meager amount, and that money can revolve over time, expanding the same project. Put money in agriculture, not the backyard type of garden stuff and things. The cooperatives, build them factories, build them warehouses that will employ a lot of people. put trucks on the roads, farm to market roads, build manufacturing plants that will turn some of our peppers and bitter balls and our onions and cassava and everything into finished product that we can use in Liberia and sell outside of Liberia. Those monies will revolve within the population. They will turn around with the population and will come right back in government covers through taxes and other forms of returns to the government. But we're not doing that. Everything goes into, you spend it, it's done. You go look for it again, you spend it, and it's done. Until we do direct investment for PSI, we're going nowhere, Dennis. Nowhere.
Thank you. Mr. Sharif.
Yes.
You know, what is the expectation when these kind of trips happen? What are we looking forward to?
Yeah, you talk about us or the government. If you're talking about the government, realistically, I don't.
I'm talking about the country.
The country, the citizenry, the voters. So a lot of us, you know, especially in the diaspora, you know, our critical minds tell us that, you know, when you go on these trips, you should come back with some dividend. Come back, you know, what is the return on your investment? What did the trip cost you to go down there? Was it $200,000? Was it $300,000? Make that public. Let it be a public knowledge to the Liberian people so that we can know what it is. And then, you know, when you come back, what did you earn? What did the country what did it benefit the country as a result of this trip that you must have? You know, because to me, the president must fly if it is absolutely necessary. Is it absolutely necessary that the president must fly with 24 member delegation? What are they doing? What is the Minister of Information? What everybody on everyone else on this trip? What is the reason why they're there? You know, if it's not to go see Japan, if it's not to go shopping, if it's not to take some time off work, already we know that, you know, people work less in Liberia than many other countries around the world. You know, we have so many, too many holidays. Okay. You know, we have too many days where people are not reporting to offices. So you got that dynamic going on. And then you add these constant trips abroad. So the expectation of all of us, diasporans and people at home, all of us should be to hold the government accountable for these trips. So you're not going to sit there, Julie, Andy, and go out there and put your people out there and dance, put a cultural performance for the president. You have nothing at home, Mrs. Julie Andy. Oh, you are the king of English. You are the best speaker of the English language. And you wear this T-shirt in front of the world, and you portray yourself to the camera, and you make us, I was ashamed of that kind of spectacle, and the president allowed that kind of spectacle. But not to deviate from your question, Dennis, the expectation of all of us should be, what has this trip gotten for Liberia? First of all, I'm against all these trips. Brother Langley made a very good point. You know, Liberia does not need all of this. The development of that country is right there. It's right there. You don't need this trip. You don't need the trip to the United States to come here and beg for money. Like Jimmy said, oh, yeah, we have some minerals somewhere. Please come find it for us, and then we can negotiate. You don't need to do all of that. You don't need that. So there's so much, Dennis. If I were a presidential advisor tonight, I would be telling the president, cut down on some of these trips. You don't have to go. In the 21st century, this is the computer age.
Comrade, some of the people you trusted that were your senior comrade, they are advising him, like Comrade Anthony Kesseley, Comrade Kofi Wu, they are advising him. Are you saying now that they don't know that?
Louise Brown and others.
Right,
You
Louis
know,
Brown, your senior comrade.
some of the people that you name, I don't know if these are the people that are making decisions. I don't know that for sure. I don't think they make decisions.
Are
Some
they
of these people,
advising?
I don't think these people make advice. I think there are others who are more powerful than these people that make those kind of advice. But
But
even
comrade, isn't that a more damning indictment that
No,
they're
no, no.
accomplices? They're accomplices to a process that they may not believe in, and yet they're there. And
yeah,
you expect us to separate them? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you what the facts are.
No.
I mean, would
Yeah,
I do it? No, I will resign first
got you.
before I endorse this kind of spectacle,
Okay.
right?
Can I?
Because this is the reason why I'm still here all these years later. That's the reason why.
Okay.
That's the reason. That's the reason
Thank
why.
you. Let
That's
me
it.
bring you. Let me bring you Evis. Evis, is the issue here with transparency? Because I believe if we were to know, okay, if the president will come and tell us how much the trip costs, for instance, who's going and why, and what is it that they lay it in front of us, right? Let's get the plan. Let's get the roadmap. This is what we want to accomplish, and this is why these are the people going. This is how much we are spending, and here is why the trip is necessary. You think if we get that, the tension and the anxiety will be a little less?
All right, thank you, Mr. John. I think yeah, just off the bat, yes, that will be transparent and people will have more trust in the purpose of the trip. But let me just take a couple steps back, and I think we glossed over this point a lot. The Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration missed a tremendous opportunity to get us on the right footing. You know, I'm going to use an analogy. I'm not good with analogy. You're the one that's good with the parables, right? But it's just something that came to my mind. You know, people who are bereaved, believe it or not, after, let's say, a woman husband passes, if that woman house was unfinished, if she had a zing that need to be finished, by the time that funeral is done, a couple of months later, that zing will be finished. Maybe she'll put new paint and plaster, you know. So when you go through war, and you have serious things that need to be fixed. When your war is over, usually the international community come and galvanize around you and try to help you. And they did that for us. That was supposed to give us a head start on our recovery, and they squandered it. No country is going to build Liberia for us. These meetings are never going to be transformative to our country. It's never going to happen. We like Japan; they're a technological nation that has made a lot of impact on the global stage. But nobody in the history of nationhood would tell you that Japan helped build that nation. Never. So the reality is, even if we go and have a successful trip, even if we get $100 million, or even if we get a $30 million, it's not going to transform our country. The real issue is on the domestic front. And I think the president is focusing more on international help. And he think this is like a cookie cutter template where you can use the Ellen playbook and try to get international donors to come in and give you money, 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 and then inflate, and have a paper tiger economy and make it look like you're really doing, better than you really are. You have to focus on the domestic, issue in the country. You can't build your country from international help. And this guy, President Boakai, he knows what the presidency is about. He's been around it for a long time, whether a minister or vice president. It's about pageantry. You want to go on the trips. You want to get the per diem. You want to visit as many countries as you can. You want to be, rubbing shoulders with world leaders. We all know what this is about. So we can be surprised. And like I said, that's not what these guys are thinking about when they're thinking about getting the presidency. And those who are supporting them, that's what they want. They want to get on plane every couple of months. They want to go to different country. They want to take pictures. They want to be seen with world leaders. They want to feel important. That's what it's about. Real transformation is on mindset. It's not based on meetings and conferences. If you have the plan to do 60 or 70% of the lifting, I guarantee you, great countries want to be, associated with success. Once they see you're doing the heavy lifting, they will give you that last 20, $30 million to get you over the line. They're not going to build your country for you. So if you're going there and you're showing them, this is what we've done. We're almost there. We just need that little push. They will be more than glad to help you push you over the line and come and stand shoulders and shoulders with you and cut the ribbon, open a new project, or sharing your success story. But they're not going to build your country. So if we continue to have this mindset that the president is going out of the country, he's coming back with $200 million MOU, he's going out of the country, he's going to this other conference, we might get $100 million. It's all nonsense. You don't have a solid plan domestically. You don't have a crack team that's ready to give you solid, a plan for the future, for the next 5 years to really tackle things on the domestic front. No amount of traveling, no amount of conferences is going to transform Liberia. It's about mindsets of change. And we actually start doing the work in the country and then exporting it out to have people help us finish the project.
Yeah, but let me buffer something what
Elvis what do we do?
Yeah,
I want you and Langley to give me solutions here.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Very good. So, Langley is a technician like myself.
Finish, I'll come in.
Okay, so let's look for instance agriculture and fisheries. Japan imports large volumes of rice, cocoa, coffee, and tropical fruits and fish. When people we were one time exporters of fish. This was a great place we could find a niche market right in Japan there to export fish to. Why do we have foreign countries fishing in our waters? Why? This agreement was signed the last during Ellen time. It was so remarkable that the EU president questioned, said, why are you allowing China to fish in your territorial waters? What is wrong with you? It's inexplicable. Look at mine. Let's look at minerals and energy. We have these critical minerals, right? With partnerships with Japan, strategic partners, because Japan is big on technology. We could develop our iron ore products right here with technical assistance from Japan. I don't like the fact that they say to go in, somebody can't give you money so y'all can eat it. No, if you're interested in building Liberia, you would build it small in sectors, and you would concentrate on how you can fortify it. This whole trip should have been multi-pronged. Look at capacity building. We say we need our people. They don't have the skills necessary to do many things. Japan is a leader in ICT, renewable energy, and vocational training. Mm-hmm. This is what Liberia critically needs. What was the plan we carried there that Japan can help facilitate our vocational training in the country? It doesn't happen overnight. Mm-hmm. And nobody's going to give you maybe you hit on something, Ja. Maybe they want somebody to just give them a bunch of money. But we can develop these different sectors one by one and gradually build a nation, a fortified nation. But we're not doing the building. I mean, my fellow technician here, to build a house, you got to lay the foundation. Then you got to put one block at a time before you get the roof level. What if it's the foundation we're laying? It all look like just floor show. Just get money in your hand. That's not going to do it. We have to critically, technically, soundly build each sector. Find out what the needs are and get a plan together and build each sector. This was a great opportunity for people to do. But if we don't present ourselves properly to the Japanese, it will be for naught.
Okay.
Langley.
Yeah, let me just comment. For me, I like technical solution and I like to do things from professional experience. I agree with what Dr. Pearson said a lot. Critically, my solution, and we need to be writing as professional to give it as a public opinion to our people. For me, the senator in Liberia should not make more than $5,000. Representative, no more than $3,000, and they live within that pay. Why? You got issue of health, education, all right? Human capital. You can't do anything without human capital. Our people need to be resourceful. We saw Liberia, grew up, we saw Liberia in the 70s. Since Toba left, there's nobody that can come 50%. Look at history on Toba and look at Liberia during Toba time. Nobody comes 50%. No amount of donor meeting. All right, we have to think about ourselves. Let's do some simple things. Can ministers teach to our universities? Look at that thing we call University of Liberia. Not even printed for over 20 years. So you got people using $50,000 car, $70,000 car, pay for scratch car allowances, and being 20, 30 coming for. I mean, we all be in the donor sector. Those meetings are just pageantries. You're going to sleep to the hotel after the allowance come. You got good allowance. That's the end of the game. It's intentional. And one thing I noticed, and I just want to share with you guys, even our colleagues who went to school with, sorry to say, I always think, why are we not positive? Our own classmates, they look at us now because you live in America, you go there to do a piece of work. To open my consultancy firm in Liberia, my classmate from Cottington is the head of community development role. I call in the man on telephone. I say, oh, my man, I'm trying to open my consultancy firm. I need the road to GSA Pinsville to help send you guys are getting roads. I will not call his name. So that way, I got a telephone number. I call him directly. I told him, my man, no matter what, I will have to give you something. And everything in Liberia now is something. The culture, the mindset. So if you read a book, if you do survey of Liberian economy, growth for our development, we are not developing our mind. We're not solving our own problem. We want to be dependent. And it will not help. Dependency, donor meeting will not help. We need to look at our internal strength. And some of the last thing before I say, we should be thinking about value addition. Firestone should not continue to keep exporting latex. All right? We need to add value, transform it in Liberia, and create better jobs. All right? The civil society should start advocating. And my thought is that we should enlighten the civil society to demand people what they have to do. Right in the paper, advocates, we need more of that. In my opinion, enlighten the people. I'll stop there.
Thank you. And that takes us to our next topic, which is the prices. During President Boakai July 26th speech, he spoke about the discrepancy in prices that people can afford flour, building materials, rice, and all that. As a result, he set up a committee to look into that. The committee is headed by Vice President Jeremiah Khan. Right. I like how he put it during his speech, right? He said the prices of flour, sugar, and other essential goods continue to be a burden. Building materials are still expensive, making it hard for ordinary Liberians to construct homes and businesses. This contradiction, which input costs have fallen yet market prices remain high, requires urgent attention. Therefore, I'm establishing a high-level presidential ad hoc committee to investigate these disparities, and recommend practical solutions for our immediate action. As a result of that, President Boakai set up that committee, giving a 45 days mandate. So from around July 26th to now, we are almost there. So I want to look at the pros and cons of that committee. I know there are a lot of committees being set up. And Langley, since you are on the floor, let me start with you first. Is this necessary?
It is necessary, but the people who make up the committee are not tearing people down. Jeremiah Kuhn, I know him. We all grew up from childhood. So guys, we will say it, but by some bad, they are very limited for that kind of job. All right. You need professional people who are skilled and accomplished. Besides being lawmaker, Jeremiah Kuhn has not done anything. He doesn't have a career. I'll tell you for a fact. Besides being representative or so-called senator, they don't have the niche to do such a thing. There is a need, but the people you are appointing is like, you can't put incompetent people in places and you expect results, bro.
Right, but he's the head, but he had the government agencies, the economic management team, the National Security Advisor, the Office of the President, the Central Bank, Ministry of Transport, Ministry of Justice, or the Liberian Marketing Association.
Dennis,
then from the private sector,
commerce. Where commerce ministry? Commerce ministry is me.
Let me give you an answer. Let me give you an answer to this, Dennis. You can't put somebody who is not a surgeon in a room to perform surgery.
Thank you.
It will never happen. And I guess what, Dennis? Some of us in America, yeah, we came here on merit and we live here on merit. Nobody knows me yet. They're considered Liberia. Nobody knows me in Minnesota. I go, I apply for a job. The people test me, they give me evaluation test. I go, I take it. That's how the word is. So I have to say, the bunch of 80% of even my own classmates. I got schoolmates in government. They are very, that's a area of incompetent people who are liability to the government. They just want suck. They will just cause noise to get government job. They're not there to transform anything. Then you say, what would it be? It's just my opinion. We need, look, President Boakai, that diaspora office, they need to encourage professional Liberians to come home and contribute. Let me frank, I open a consultancy firm. I can't give Liberia up. I'm opening an international consultancy firm because I got competitors who went to school for 10 years, who were trained from Africa, Nigeria, Mauritius, Kenya. They're doing well at home. I got to showcase Liberia. All right, I got no excuse. Okay, so we got to go there and do things. Dennis, let me be frank with you. Small go Liberia. Those guys will not be receptive. They will never be. They come to the States here. They come here. They start to us when they come to the conferences. We give them assistance. Then it's go Liberia. Don't carry a car there. Call your friend, say my man is stranded. Let me can't drive me here. Who is a minister that got free gasoline? He doesn't even pick up your phone.
All right, Evis.
I remember you can go ahead. Go ahead.
Evis, let me get your take on the on this ad hoc committee.
Look, I mean, when you campaign, you say anything to get elected, which is fine. But like the last speaker was saying, Mr.
Kellen.
Sorry, I couldn't even read your name. Jeremiah Kuhn is not a financial genius. Like he was saying, I think what he really meant to say was that
He's a businessman.
Yeah. You can't take a non-surgeon and ask him to supervise a group of surgeons, right? So the point here is that does he have the wherewithal in how to strategize, give them an objective, and how to bring the prices down? Sure, you understand basic economics, right? Supply and demand, and those kinds of things in the market. In the market, decide the price, based on the demand for the goods. So I think the fact is that the economic problem in Liberia is also tied to the global, economic war at large, and things are getting harder for us in the United States. We're seeing inflation, we're seeing prices rising, and Liberia is going to feel the brunt of it. We know our exchange rate is quite high, and things is getting higher and higher. So the cost, the value of the Liberian dollar is diminishing. So all of these things are going to be affected. We don't have the mind, we don't have the sophisticated financial people in that country to really, put things in our favor financially and bring our dollar, to the US dollar and bring it, closer, in terms of dropping the rate. But my point here is that they've made promises they can't keep. And I hate to say this, I don't want to be on the president. You have a serious squanderer, a man who is living on loans, who squandered his personal finances. And then you have a man, I know the other speaker was from Mimba, who is alleged to be dabbling into some other means of getting money rather than the legitimate means, who is sent into the vice presidency. These are not people who built themselves up from the bootstrap and know how to be, fiscal, conservative. So now when we need austerity and we need people who can come up with economic policies to really try to transform the country or even just manage things as it currently is, they don't have the wherewithal. We have somebody like Gafwan, who is a well-learned financial expert, or he's kind of quiet. He's almost seeing like a cheerleader now for this government. It hasn't unleashed him to really show his stuff, so to speak. And he's almost like a cheerleader advocating for the president, talking about getting the MCC. That's the only thing he's really there for, maybe to try to pass the MCC. That's probably his main goal. You're not focusing on the economic, on the economic prospect of the country domestically. They just think that donor money is going to boost them up and they're going to make them seem like they're successful. For me, I will tell you this: Liberia is hard. America, is getting harder. People even now are starting to complain the economy is getting hard. What about our people back home in Liberia? President Boakai, when it comes to the economics, I never thought he was a solution for our country. I never thought he had the mind. Never thought he had the track record of even managing his own finances, let alone to manage the entire country's finances. That's why he went and brought Gafwan, because all he thought was Gafwan did well on the LN, and those inflated numbers that we got from the international community donating so much money to our country, the UN being there and infusing so much money into our economy, they thought that was success. And he thought Gafwan can come back and replicate it and give him that same shine or that same shame that LN government had. It's not going to happen. The war has changed. People has moved on. Nobody's bringing hundreds of millions of dollars to Liberia anymore. So you have to do the heavy lifting, and he's not equipped for it. He really isn't. And Gafwan, I think he's capable, But if he brought a crack team around him, that's why I said before the president even took office, you have to have a think tank. The finance ministry have to be a think tank. Forget about having one minister who is the main man and he formulate the policy and people work on it. You got to bring the best minds of Liberian economists in that country, get them into a room for a good year, let them formulate plans, let them work together and try to get things going. One man can't do the job. One man can't do the job. So all this nonsense they're talking about forming an economic committee with a man who doesn't have a finance degree and he's going to lead a team of economic experts to try to change the financial trajectory of our country. It's a black. I'll leave it
But
at.
who formed committee to bring prices down? Do you see that?
That's what I'm saying. Who says that, Mr. Jai? I'm not in finance, but what my rudimentary understanding of it is, you don't do that. The market, determine the prices, and also your dollar, to the U.S. ratio is going to determine the prices. Inflation is also going to determine that. Scarcity of the goods on the market is going to determine price. All the different things that people who are economists talk about, you have to know those things one-on-one to understand how you bring prices down. You can't fix price. Government can't fix prices in the country. The market determine the prices. How can these guys not understand?
Yeah, but wait, the committee was set up to review the surge in prices. There's been a surge, and they say, "Well, y'all tell us what's going on." That it is not a bad idea. But what happens is you need somebody with economic expertise.
Okay.
Just what my brother.
But Jimmy, do you need a committee for that?
No, let me just.
No, you need somebody to research it.
Hold on, Langley.
Yeah.
Don't you already have people? Your commerce minister, your
very good.
bank?
The people who should lead it, the central bank governor, believe it or not, or the deputy governor, because they are the ones concerned with how money moving around in the country. The commerce minister, definitely the commerce minister could have done this, or even an independent economist. You see, the idea is these are good ideas, but if you don't pick the right, I think this is a song we've been singing in this debate all night. If you're not picking the right people to lead these things, nothing will come out of it. Because just like Morris was saying, you need to set an objective. My people, if you go to say, oh, they want to know why the prices are going up for. No, that's not a trained economist would be. What are the factors pushing prices up in various commodities? Let's separate the commodities in different zones, in different industries, and let's separately look at what is pushing inflation on these products. But you have no professional among yourself. You don't want the professionals.
Let me just get some facts, all right, for consumption. Oh, this guy, Philip Brown, went to India and bought most of his house materials. The prices Philip Brown, I'm talking from fact, pay was by far less than what city builders and other people, the prices, they escalated all the prices. Philip Brown carried that story on Facebook. Secondly, I was in Liberia in November. The low people strive. I saw people selling up to 11, 12 o'clock. All right? 1 o'clock in the morning, because they have to make ends meet. The critical thing is that the levies, the taxes government putting on people, on goods and services in that country is very, very high. Because of that, the business people shifted to the consumers. All right? They only after the pocket. That's my independent and critical opinion. I can prove the facts with that. All right? I'm not talking on yes it. It's just my technical opinion.
Is it Jai, you there?
Yeah. When I made my research and I also talked to people, they had different things to say about the pros and the cons concerning this. But my main question is, and I'm looking at it in a very first, let me read what the government is saying, right? The government has observed that despite recent reduction in the cost of key inputs such as rice and gasoline, the prices of transportation, basic commodities, and building materials remain disproportionately high. This situation poses a challenge to economic stability, consumer welfare, and national development. In response, President Boakai is establishing a presidential ad hoc committee to examine the contradictions. Victor, Don't we know why prices high? Even though I know everything, but with my economic 101, can we not tell? Do you need a committee to tell you?
So,
Are you producing anything in that country?
right.
Is anybody working? Is it not just 1% working? Are we? I mean, our rubber, everything. People are stealing. What does it take to set a committee to do this? Does it make sense? Make sense to me, Mr. Namwe.
Yeah, I wish I could, to be honest. But I thank you. This will be my last input for the night. I have a meeting coming up at 9. But thank you very much for the opportunity. It's great being here today, and thanks again for my dear brother Langley here. Let me officially announce that I do not like this guy. One, he comes on here with a Dallas Cowboy jersey. Is this guy serious? And then he comes on here to bring a Scorpion Brothers business out here on television. I mean, that's 2 strikes. But welcome to the show. It's good to have you here, my brother, fellow educator. Let me say this, then I'll leave it with you guys. Look, when the president was serious in the early days, the right situation, who doesn't remember? Then he invited people to the mansion. We all remember when this rice thing was
there's
going
a
on.
rice committee too.
There is a committee, but I'm saying to you, he can go to a certain length if he really wants to act instead of punting it down to a committee. And so the short answer is, I believe when the president has no interest in resolving the matter, he will punt it and give it to a committee. And the vice president, I don't even know how many committees he's on. You know, he's on the yellow machine committee. He's heading the electricity committee. You know, I can go on and
Our
count.
vice president side to say, well, I in a technical, professional background.
You
Also,
know.
the way he my handle. Nothing
So-
more than I make a handle. The only job
Right.
he did is senator and representative.
So your question was, does it make sense or does it not? I really don't think it makes a lot of sense right now to give this to another committee. I believe there are ways around this where the president can act very quickly. And like I say, in the right situation, I think when he wants to act quickly, he will do something like that. But to give this to a committee, I don't think is the best way to address it. But thanks again for the opportunity. I will beg to leave you guys for now.
Mr. Sharif.
Yes.
What's your take on this new or ad hoc committee to investigate prices?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary, really. I mean, you have the Ministry of Commerce, and someone else mentioned the National Bank, governor. So you have institutions already that can handle this. Committees will come with, the bureaucracies, right? So for me, I think in Liberia, anytime you want something to die, just form a committee, and this is their way of punting. To quote J. Victor there as he was departing, this is the way of pushing things, kicking the can down the road, and so it's not a really serious effort to resolve the issue. So they're going to sit with petroleum importers, rice importers, flour importers, and say, look, the president want me to ask you people, what happened here? The rice business now, I'm talking to the people behind you now. So
okay,
the president wants something, or the president want me to come to you now. So what happened? Y'all please bring the thing down. Look, this is not an economic plan. That the economists would tell you, you mentioned economic 101, supply and demand dynamics, those things that drive prices up, and geopolitical factors, these things have to be considered. And then someone else mentioned, so I like where most of the panelists are going tonight. Someone mentioned that you have to have the competent people. We have Gabriel here. I mean, this guy, I mean, someone like Gabriel needs to be on some committee, right, to give real ideas on what needs to be done. Or his advice at the very least to say, the Ministry of Commerce is going to be contacting you. What do you think about this? You know, it's not a bad thing to call on a Liberian as a consultant to say, you know, we need your idea on this issue. For example, if it's something that has to do with maybe LEC, Jimmy is here. I mean, we have a lot of people. We have a lot of talented Liberians that they can guess what to see what they have to offer. And some of these people, I'm telling you, I don't think they can do this pro bono. You know, some of these people can do this pro bono. But the thing is that Liberians do not like that. They don't want to come to Jimmy. They don't want to come to a giver to say, oh, the man sitting over there, who do they think they are? You know, these people sitting over there.
But one thing, let me just
hold on, Langley. We have many people here. But come here, hold on. Let me play something from the vice president on this committee.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll come in 1 minute.
The meeting resulted to meeting the different entities responsible for different commodities, three or four in a daytime. And so today we started 10:30 a.m.
Can I come in, Dennis, 1 minute? I want to relate to what Mami was saying, something very important. Just 1 minute.
I don't know why I can't get to.
3 to 4 in a daytime.
Responsible for different commodities, three or four in a daytime. And so today we started 10:30 a.m. We're dealing with rice.
Anyway,
Can I come in 1 minute? I just want Sherry said important thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Sherry. Let me not tell you it's easy. Like me, I'm trying to open a consultancy firm in Liberia. It's because we want to make headway. I using my parents' property. All right, it's a 5-bedroom house at GSC Road. Let's assume my parents never had that property. I'm going to be paying rent.
Right.
Quality professional service is not something easy. You go in there, you got to research. You solving a problem, you got to look at the reality. We have to invest money into it. There's nothing a pro bono to me professionally. There's a cost.
Thank you.
Yeah, what I'm also saying is that, Dennis, if I will address that for a minute, what I'm also saying is that there are a lot of Liberians here that are willing to serve their country. We are in a time where there are a lot of Liberians that can expend their expertise to the country in this patriotic manner. I'm not saying that they're just going to go in and give everything to the state. Of course not. But I mean, there are people who can do that. I've seen that. I've seen that happen. But this government is not calling on anybody. You know, the previous government is not calling on anybody. You know, Josh Weah wasn't calling on anybody. And this government is not calling on the talents that they need. And therein lies some of these issues.
15 seconds, please, Mr. John. And to kind of, I don't want to say butchers what Mr. Killen was saying, but I think his approach is probably the best way to do it. That is to go in Liberia, find a consulting firm, do the work, whether it's on economics, whether it's on other things. If you want to sell your statistics to the government, that's how sometimes the government can work better. Have professional, credible firms who are doing the work and then selling the data to the government. So if you had a firm in that country who was a reputable firm, had done the extensive work over the year, they can sell that information to the government, tell them how to collect their data, and kind of already have the job done for the government. And then they can study it and look at how to react to the market forces. But I think for people to go volunteer to Liberia, come on, Mr. Sir.
They don't operate that way, sir. They don't operate. This government does not operate that way. I'll give you an example. Right here on Focus on Liberia, they watch you. They watch Dennis. They watch everybody on here who have ideas about Liberia. But you know what they say? You know what the previous government used to say? Oh, don't mind those guys. They think they know all. That's what this group is also saying. So I know what I'm talking about. These people do not. They don't. They don't. A lot of them are.
Mr. Sherry, you are correct. There are people who want to offer free There are people who want to teach LU online free.
Here is Dennis Jah, an example of it. Here is Dennis Jah. What are you talking about? What are you guys talking about?
You know, I mean, come on. We're talking about professional people who are doing a job and going to get paid for it. Volunteering is nice,
Here is
but
Dennis Jah
real
who wants to
solution
offer
solvers,
service.
they have to be paid for the professional work.
Here is
It's not a
Dennis Jah
charity.
who wants to, here's Dennis Jah who wants to offer free service to his country.
Look, let me just say
Hold on,
something.
Langley. Hold on one second.
Meeting the different entities responsible for different commodities, three or four in a daytime. And so today we started 10:30 a.m. We're dealing with rice, flour, and petroleum. So the rice people came in first, we dealt with them.
So you tell me, the investigation you're talking about. So you from 10:30, the rice people will come in, you talk to deal with them, and the flour people come.
3 and 4 in a data. Just remember that.
3. Let me talk to my people behind it. So what happened? You know, there's the prices. The president said prices going up, even though rice prices come down. He said, but how come the prices here still going up? You want to buy anything, the price high. So I want to set up other people to tell me why. Some people say, but wait now. So you in JFK, for instance. You the director in JFK. You the big man there. They say no bear at JFK. Oh. Instead of asking you the big man, then we say we must set up committee. How many committees you will set up? The right committee will play here. The president can't talk. The petroleum committee will play here. He can't talk. The asset recovery committee will play here. After you're finished taking Finabono taxi. And that committee business will solve this problem here. The people here say, poor people that know the thing, that know what to do. Some of them, they will do it free for you. Some of them, they just want their name to be there. But the way you're doing it, how you're different from the beginning that were there now.
Yeah, they should have clipped our vice president tongue when he was a small child. I always said that.
Dr. Pearson, this committee.
You're wrong for that.
You know, somebody told me you know, they say when you want to be in the rocking chair can keep you busy, but it doesn't move you. Is this president really putting her in the rocking chair so that we'll see him doing something? Is that the case here?
Thank you, Dennis. I thought you forgot about me all along. I didn't want to be to interrupt you, but thank you. Look. Let me say this, right? There's a serious problem with leadership in our country. When we talk these things, people say, like Evans rightly pointing out, they say we try to be boastful and condemning, right? If you are the president of the Republic of Liberia and having served under someone like Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf for over 12 years as vice president, but now you should have been aware, just being in government for 40 years, you've been aware that there's something called administrative and managerial awareness. For every policy you implement in your country or any policy you formulate in your country, there's going to be an impact of that policy on your country. If I'm President Boakai at that program, I would have been firing the commerce minister. I would have been firing the finance minister. I would have been, I would have been dismissing people who oversight direct responsibility by their appointment has fallen short of my expectation. I wouldn't be passing on a technical role and responsibility that is filling onto the vice president, whose role is totally divorced from those technocrats, right? Let me tell you what I mean by that. Finance and development planning by itself, 2025 budget is $207 million. It's bigger than even the budget for health, which is around $90-something million. I think, if I'm not mistaken, around $91 million for health. Education, they don't even go there. $207 million. A finance ministry has the highest number of consultancy in the Republic of Liberia. The highest number of consultants in the Republic of Liberia. Now, let me take this conversation to another level. Dennis, why are we talking about prices and the president setting up committee? I mean, that is a non-issue. For instance, the president sat there, Gafuan, LRA brought in new tax upticks for the country, the transition, the tax law. Where was he? Did he expect that prices will go down when you gravitate from GST to VET? Is that what you expect, that the policy will yield a result, the reverse result? Are you telling me, if you tell somebody VAT is the idea that the goods get taxed every time they transition into a new phase, value is added, the end user will have to pay more money on that very goods? Did he expect that price will come down when that is initiated? Does President Boakai and Gafuan and LRA double expect that when the U.S. rate, that the budget 2005 fiscal budget that they passed on the U.S. rate of 197 LD to $1, now the U.S. rate is 200 plus United States Liberian dollars to $1 the purchasing power of the population by their salaries they're taking home in LD has been diminished. What does he expect? I don't think people, like, even in this country, Dennis, you myself in this country, if our income is commensurating with the increase in prices, you myself will not complain because I can afford it. It's affordable. But if the prices of the goods, by your policy effect, is carrying price of basic commodities and basic services up, and then my salary is being depreciated by the inflation, I will complain, because not that it may be high based on the international price on the market, but my purchasing power is diminished. So who are we talking about here? Why President Boakai keeping people over positions in government that are not doing the things that will yield the results that he needs, from policy formulation to the policy impact? Why will he have to go have another committee to help poor boy, poor man Jeremiah Kun up? They said Jeremiah Kun lead legislative politics, and now go see what rest price going up. When Freeport, Dukley, has he talked to Dukley on the surcharges, the ridiculous surcharges at the port, the delay import clearances? Have you talked to Dukley? Have we settled the MedTech issue? Have we settled the CTM issue? Have we settled the APM terminal issues with unnecessary fees and charges at the port that are affecting prices in the market? So why do we pay people taxpayer money who's supposed to be doing the job, and then we get a job to somebody else to go do for them? Yeah. I think these are the questions that we should be asking, that will cause Boakai to lead the presidency, because he doesn't have the capacity for a leader who have eyes on what policies are being formulated and what the effect of the policies will be, and whether we approve it or don't approve it. It doesn't make sense. If we go at Akun, to me, it doesn't make sense. We should get rid of Boakai.
Mr. John, I have a personal question for you quickly. You know, what's happening with Depo Zuo and the likes of Anthony G. Myers in the Ministry of Finance? Those are technical guys. Why are they not doing some kind of meaningful work?
No, they are. I think for Depo Zuo, I think he's doing something meaningful, but he's not a politician, right? The people listen to politicians, not technocrats.
Okay. But Dr. Clarence, you made an important point, right? And let me say, Dr. Pearson, the shakedown at the Freeport, you know, like people talk about tariff. Tariff is a tax on the consumer. The shakedown that's going on to the Freeport is a tax on the consumer as well. The Lebanese man is not going to make a Facebook post and tell you that they're charging him now three times the amount of prices to clear his goods from Asia, and then they're selling it to you at 3 times the price or twice the price. Because when the Freeport guy are shaking them down, they're not going to sell the same that price to you the same anymore. They're going to up that price to try to recoup the money that they pay in bribe at the Freeport. So that's a salient point, Dr. Pearson. I just want to buttress.
There is a businessman in Monrovia I talked to. We were talking about steroid. So the government gave, I forgot the name of the business in Liberia. They so importer of steroid, and they are pretending to be manufacturing steroid in Liberia, but that's a lie. They are buying it from Ghana. So the guy went to Ghana and saw and he wanted to buy that. He said he almost went through before he got a call. So maybe those guys got a call that the government has given it to this one Lebanese guy.
The monopoly.
Okay.
And so something that's supposed to cause. So he said, right now, if I import my steroid and just one band, I can make profit. So it's like you are just making 75 cents.
Okay.
So the people,
Okay.
so it's the government that is awarding these kind of privileges to
Okay.
one business. As a result, the rest of the businesses suffer. And
I
now
don't
the
want-
president will leave there and say, let's set up a committee to see why.
Okay. I don't want for us to just be listing problems, but I want to find solution. And Dr. Pearson is heading in the right direction in terms of fact. I just want to add from my perspective from the private sector of being a teacher. For me, I want to work with the Liberia Teacher Association. Technically, that you can be teaching subjects for like over 5 years. You can write anything independent. Compared to Ghana, from elementary, if my memory serves me well, to 12th grade, all the books are written by Ghanaian teachers and professors in Ghana. They are produced in Ghana. That's a huge potential for book market and develop your income, because as a teacher, the salary will not carry you anywhere. Those are some positive steps we need to facilitate in Liberia. I'm just not looking at the problem, but looking at realistic solutions to motivate people to achieve a win-win situation. All right.
Thank you.
We will list the problem, but let's find a solution to the problem.
You think we have the calibers to teach you to write textbooks in Liberia?
Yes.
Hold on,
Yes.
I don't want us to deviate, Evans. Let us not
Exactly.
go there. Let me move to the last topic for the night. We'll not treat the last one, which is the court order CDC headquarters eviction. Somebody was asking me to say, but did the IG anticipate the court order and then he's having a press conference? Well, the court order is out. He said, you are hereby commanded by the assigned circuit court of the Honorable Court for Honor Goda A. Bona Elliott to put in complete possession, in keeping with law, the above named plaintiff appellee in complete possession of the property subject of these proceedings, and on and on and on and on. As a result of this, the IG, the LNP, is issuing a traffic advisory for Saturday. It reads, the Liberia National Police informs the public that due to the enforcement of a court eviction order, traffic will be diverted in Monrovia on Saturday, August 23, 2025. Vehicles coming from Pinsville will be diverted onto Old Road by Nigeria House. Vehicles from Central Monrovia will be diverted onto Old Road via Colando Junction. All motorists and pedestrians are strongly advised to follow public instructions and cooperate with traffic officers on duty. The LNP urges everyone to remain calm, peaceful, and law-abiding as we carry out our constitutional duties in service to the public and the rule of law. Signed, the LNP. The LNP that giant now.
That they have been waiting for the day not come. Well, let me take a shot at this if you permit me, Mr. John.
Yeah, please do.
All right. Look, I'm not even going to get too worked up on this issue because it's a legal matter. And I wish we had more information on this whole eviction process because, I think it's a contractual matter, because if the CDC had, as they said, they are not delinquent in their payment of rent, and if they are within the term of their lease agreement, it shouldn't be evicted. But if they're on a rent to own, like somebody alluded to, the landlord can change that agreement at any time because it's rent to own. But if they are in like a 2-year lease or 3-year lease and they're not delinquent and the time hasn't expired, tenant has rights, and you have to, fulfill that contract until the lease is up once they pay their rent on a monthly basis. So I don't really understand the whole eviction thing, because if they're not delinquent, I don't really think that's in question here. The person wants to sell the property for a higher price than originally negotiated, which is in his right. But if they have been contractually agreed to for a specific amount, you can't change that unless you do it in writing, the same form that you initially started the first contract. So for me, I think it smells of a little bit of political manipulation. But again, if we can get more information based on why the eviction was enforced, if the CDC was in the wrong and they owed money and they were delinquent in their payment and the lease had expired and they choose not to renew their lease, they're well within their rights. But it sounds as if everything was on the up and up, and this person just decided to take the property from. So it's that's Liberia for you. Once you have the government on your side, and the court system is going to be most likely be on your side, you're going to get your way. So
You think if you think this is going to happen if the CDC are still in power?
of course not. But that's
Yeah.
the point that I'm trying to make here. For us who want to be fair and balanced, we have to get more information because what is the purpose of the eviction? If you say that they didn't pay the rent, oh, you're well within your rights. If you say that the lease is up and we chose not to renew the lease, you're well within your rights.
Yeah. Jimmy, why are we having this problem? I mean, first of all, let's look at it. If this were, regular person, why does CDC need with all the condominiums, with all the houses everybody building in Monrovia? Why does the CDC need to rent anyway? I mean, no CDC member has a 3-bedroom.
I mean, Mr. John, let's be fair, right? Unity Party, with all the power they have for 12 years, did they have a party headquarters? They didn't have a party headquarters. Most parties in Liberia don't have a party headquarters that's built exclusively for their party. Most of them are rented. And CDC perhaps felt like, okay, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, hold on. We're not. I'm saying, why are we having this? The TWP are the party headquarters, right? They're still talking about it. So why are we at this point? Is it that they want to use this building at all costs? Because I believe if they even focus on Liberia, we don't have, nobody's taking pay. We at least we're renting a place. I mean, why are we at this point?
Okay, it's quite vivid from my perspective. The whole intention is to crush DC. You see, the party headquarters have been symbolic of CDC. The location was strategic, ideal, right on the road, very visible, easy for partisans to assemble, and the effect, the change, they were very, very visible. Now, by having them moved, it's symbolic again. It symbolizes that they're losing ground. They're not the mighty CDC of the yesterday. So it is in the favor of the UP party to have CDC look like a party that is fading, that is losing ground, and that is why this is being pursued. However, this debate or this conflict over the property has been going on for a number of years. All right, and it may not have been dealt with properly from the onslaught. So now it's reached a point that the owner is just saying, I want my property. As you know, this is prime property. And the money he's asking for may not be what CDC is willing to pay. So I look at this as a technique to diminish CDC, but also in the beginning, the way it was handled is why it has culminated to what it is today. Now, what I would do if I were CDC, I would have found a new location, and do an all out launching or commissioning of this new location. And so that you get your partisans to realize, okay, now this is our new battleground. This is our new place where we will go. I think you can capitalize on this and make it and gain publicity by simply highlighting the new place. So I just think how you crisis management. When you're managing crisis, you have to do it timely. And you can always use the disadvantage to an advantage. Yeah, so I think that the CDC right now, they should use this as a publicity to showcase their new place and their new strength.
Mr. Sharif, make me make sense of this. It really doesn't make sense to me as to Unity Party was in the same position. They were not able to pay their rent. People were talking about eviction. Now it's CDC. right?
No,
And,
no,
and
Mr. Judge, CDC is not about they're not paying the rent. Please don't conflict the two issues. It's not
no,
about rent.
no, but I said Unity Party was not able to pay the rent. That was the issue,
When you
right?
say CDC are in the same position, it's not the same position. That's what I'm
So the
saying.
same
They're not
position is
delinquent.
okay. What is this issue the CDC having? Evans?
The issue is that CDC had agreed to buy the property for $1.3 million. And that was it was like a rent to own situation. They had a multiple year lease agreement with the gentleman in Ghana who's based in Ghana, who's representing this lady's estate. And now they changed their agreement to $4.3 million, which is outrageous and exorbitant. And now the CDC was trying to negotiate with them, and in the middle of negotiation, they abruptly stopped and said that they want them to leave their property and hand the property over.
Because they
So
can
that's
pay
why
the
the
2
CDC went to
million
court.
instead of the 1 million. I thought that something else we coming to. They,
No, but I'm just saying they're not delinquent in rent. They've been paying the
if
rent.
your
They're up to
landlord
date.
say you are paying $100, say now pay 2,000, you can pay
No,
your
but
lease.
you can do that within the duration of a lease. You have to do that at the end of a lease. You have to give a offer and acceptance
Morris,
consideration.
But my
Morris,
problem, hold on, language. My problem here is we have the same issue when you are not in power.
Yes.
So you have the rent issue. Now come with these people. So it's the same thing that is going on with these parties.
Yes.
Mr. Sharif, help me understand why, even for a headquarters, I was talking about all the million houses that President Weah was building, right?
Right.
All these different things. Can we not, if we are not able to reach a compromise on a property that I'm already in, and I know that I'm paying somebody rent, can I not just build my own and take the money somewhere? Is
yeah,
that something that we're going to be fighting over for how long?
And
Dennis.
how about
Okay,
I will build a CDC city.
yeah,
That will
correct.
have football field, that will have stadium,
You
that will
have
have even vocational school, all there. They could afford it.
everything there. I was
And you
thinking
are
about
fighting
this.
on somebody's house because they're on the main road.
Right. I was thinking about the same thing. You can build your own headquarters. Now, Jimmy says something very profound. As a prime property, I mean, very easily accessible. It's right there on the main road. So, leaving that area it's a mighty inconvenience now to the CDC. I think that what they should have done before all of this is to make sure that they purchase the property. I don't care how much it took at the time to lock that in and purchase that property. How many times, landlords have changed their minds? How many times people have sold properties to, one buyer and then turn around and sell it to the other buyer? Again, it comes down to politics. If you're not in power, everything seems to go against you. You're right, Dennis. Unity Party was in kind of sort of similar situation. They weren't in power. Okay. They are now. So and I think that politics has a role in this. Okay,
Big time.
because the CDC, the Unity Party is going to make sure, even if this is not, something that's pronounced, they're going to make sure that the CDC gets embarrassed. They're going to make sure that the CDC gets away from this area. I mean, that's a very nice area. So they're going to make sure that they give the CDC something to worry about, rather than having these big rallies and people seeing them, they're very visible in that place. So they're going to give the CDC something to think about. It's all a lot of this is politics. Now this is wrapped up in broken contract agreement, but it's all politics at the end of the day when it's all said and done. But again, no strategic planning, right? The strategic planning mind in me would say, look, maybe there will come a time that this guy will change his mind. This landlord, whoever he or she is, will change their mind. So why can't we lock this in? Why can't we just, go for a purchase? They had the money, they had the resources.
let me just add to what you just said a little bit. Evans, I let her talk with facts. All right. What I heard is speculation. Within the CDC, I learned that President Weah, wanted to purchase a party, and wanted us to purchase that property. All right. Most of the guys who turn things at CDC, They didn't agree for him to purchase the property in his name. All right. I just want to tell you for that as a fact. It's speculation I heard from top sources within the CDC. It's not a fact. Let me just clear that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's a problem. Yeah, that's a problem.
Well, the question I'm asking you guys again, not to interrupt. When you have a lease here, I mean, many of us, usually you lease before you own. Your landlord cannot arbitrarily change your lease agreement in the middle of your lease. You have to do it at the end of the lease, right?
Elvis, in the United States, we do that. You're talking about Liberia, right?
Okay. So you guys agree it might be some illegality going on here. Breaking of a lease in the middle of a lease agreement is illegal, right?
I actually agree with you. I agree with you.
But Evans is purely political.
Yes.
That's why I use the Unity Party example. If you are not
the Unity Party were not political. They owe them money. The McLean family said they owe them money and they agreed that they owe them money and they made a payment plan with them. This is not the same thing.
They were not going to owe money if they were in power.
That was political too.
Right. If they were in power, they were not going to owe money. If you're in power, you don't owe anything. You get everything you need.
Dennis, I stay here.
Right. No, I was coming to you when he started talking about the CDC, what they're doing. All I'm saying, the things we talk about in Liberia, sometimes look at on the national scene, just like we are watching some shallow rubber show. That's how it appears to me. Why are we discussing these kind of things, Dr. Pearson?
Thank you, Dennis. Look, if you're like me, you will be thinking like, if you know where this country has come from over 178 years, and what led Master Sergeant Samuel Kayando, quote unquote, framed, I'm using that carefully, framed accusation of overthrowing President Torba, because some people believe it was not him in particular. And if you've seen what we went through for 14 years, and all of the things we blame those two catastrophic events on, you will think that someone like President Boakai coming to power, who've lived on Totman, Toiber, Samuel Doe, Charles Taylor, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and all of the interim government, he worked with them. And now he sat with Ellen for 12 years. So we and his guys, according to him, brought Liberia down into the quarter. You think in your head that he will come and be a more elderly statesman and more mature in showing that the country is kept quiet, peaceful, and productive. You have a country that its economy is going in the dream. You can highly attract investors, good investors, not the arm twisting HPX that tell you before you get on a plane to go see Donald Trump for good English, you got to sign the HPS agreement before you leave this country, or else you will not be receiving America. And then you sign, go there, you can't even announce your own agreement you sign. You always make news of those signings. You will think that President Boakai will be cautious. You will think that President Boakai will be cautious that every time he leaves the country and he's in the international space, ridiculous things happen back in Liberia, similar to what we saw with the fake search and seizure warrant with the DEA invading the CDC party headquarters under the same political arrangement that brought us to a disgraceful end, and they have to apologize to CDC. Now the president is out of the country again on a very important trip, trying to sell an image of the country. You got hooligans back home, call himself police director, declaring eviction notice when they have not been issued by the courts. You have midweight individual like Sando, Daniel Sando. Everything is not FOL statement. It's my own statement.
Yeah, you're calling the police director a hooligan?
He's a hooligan. I say so any day. When you send armed police officer in the Capitol building to harass my lawmaker and beat on them and brutalize them, it's hooliganism. It's not civilized. It is not democratic. The U.S. Human Rights Report has classified his police force as being one of the brutal in our recent history, with a lot of violence against our people, including extrajudicial killings. And we should say this. When I see armed police parading the streets of Monrovia, intimidating civilians, that's hooliganism. That's not policing. And I will say that for the record. Now, let me say this again. Daniel Sando preempted this very action and got on the public podium, international media, and said that they will enforce a court ruling. These are politically motivated, and they are endangering the peace of our people. They are endangering the safety and stability of the country. We must speak strongly against these actions and condemn them. Now, let me close by saying this, Dennis. These are some of the facts. You know, the party left the headquarters peacefully. No one went after them. I mean, Moda paid the rent. When they couldn't pay the rent, they put them out. I mean, Moda paid the rent, they went somewhere else. Nobody bothered them. Now, let me come back to CDC. CDC has been renting and paying the rent to an individual who claimed to be part of the family that owned the property, and they received their due earnings on that property. The property is in dispute with family members. They are conflicted over who really managed the property. They went to court. The court has decided who should actually be the custodian of the property. Understandable. CDC is not willing to pay the $4 million that is being requested by whoever is managing the estate. They are willing to collaborate and go along with what the people will decide. They're saying, give us a legitimate court order of eviction. No. The police director comes on the radio and make a press conference when there has been no eviction notice served either the party chairman or at the party headquarters to indicate that the party is going to be evicted on so-and-so day. He make a preemptive announcement only to see later on that there's a court announcement coming back to say that the CDC has gotten this very same judge to hear another case pertaining to the same party. I think this is reckless. I think this is embarrassing. And I think we should be strong on these things and tell these guys the country is not a toy. And Liberia deserves better. Our people are struggling. The country has to be stable to attract investment. The country has to be stable to get the image that we need out there for people to feel good about coming to the country to invest in it. Let me tell Gregor Coleman who he should go after. Go after Dukley at the port, who robbed another citizen who came to invest in the country, and today he's telling them, take me to court. If a man is accused of robbing someone and admitting to taking the investor's money and you no results to that effect, he shouldn't be presiding over any government entity for that matter. He should go and have him arrested and prosecuted through the LCC for misleading the image of the country out there. And we will not sit and accept these things, even though we may not be citizens, but we must make it clear Liberia needs some sanity, and we need it now.
Well said, Dr. Pierce.
If you're watching and want to join the conversation, call 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Also, tomorrow, it will be the debate that everybody is waiting for. That's the debate between Dr. Pearson and Dr. Williams. Cummings, Alexander Cummings' presidential pathway. Dr. Williams sees no presidential possibility for Mr. Cummings, whereas Dr. Pearson says the door is wide open. You don't want to miss it. The political bulldog, Anthony C. will be the moderator. You don't want to miss it. Also, we're going to be live on Kia Radio at 10 a.m. to talk everything politics. Now, let me talk to the people, my people back behind me here as we wait for calls. Well, you know, George Weah Party CDC, they were just in power. The old man beat them in the election, so they ran there. So the place they used to have their meeting, they say they have no time finished. Whether they get money or they don't get money, they got to go. So they say, but wait now. How come the time you were in power, you ain't pay your own work, you're acting like monkey, you were eating banana all day now, the rain come and they moving you, they say, well, we got the money. But at their politics, the people just want to take off from there because they believe we're on the main road. Everybody can see us. All our party headquarters people can come there so we can have big rally. So anytime we say CDC coming, everybody's scared. So they want to take off from the main road to pull all the way in the bush. Where when we want to have small rally, we got to walk one day before we get to the SKD or before we get to ATS so that they plan. But Liberia government, that the way it is, when though they're in power, though they're party the party everybody want to be around. Soon they move from power, nobody get time. Top people were there too, the same thing. Then we get when Taylor was there, the MPP, that the rooster was in town. When Taylor was in jail now, nobody can hear about MPP. So that the same thing they want to do to Unity Party, but they wait for 20 years now from Unity Party to CDC, Unity Party to CDC. The two of them, it look like when crook see crook, they know each other. So soon the film pass from one side, they say, a lot of them come and catch me. So they know each other. So every day, two of them get fighting. Two of them fight. Who suffer? Are the Liberian people. Because we too, we know like, some kind of woman who they finish beating, you move from the other guy finish beating you, pull you outside. Soon they get small money, you go on the other side. So when you between two people like that, they will just be using you for nothing. So there were some people say, two parties, let's forget about them. Two of them mean nothing for the country.
You bring that party that will be even worse than the other two parties. Congress say, what's up?
For 20 years now, they didn't do anything. They're just stealing. The same thing Unity Party were condemning yesterday, that's the same thing they're doing. CDC get there, they will do the same thing. So for the past 20 years, that's what we see from me to you.
Nothing changed.
And all of them, like nobody even get time. They all sitting in that debt in Monrovia. Sometimes look at it and say the people they sick or what they're doing. How you can be eating in the day, you say you big man. You take your car, you ride in the country, you say you big man. The flat end are sitting down in Jokweta market. You think when you eating your car, that same flat will not can sit down there? You think you're free? You sit down there. The Zogo there will be coming for everybody. Because when the Zogo there, where you will park, where you will drive your car. What kind of people will get so mad? And nothing can change. The same thing. When you want to, they say, go sit down, man. You won't get money. The people stealing the money, giving it to you that the one you want. Oh man, hey, what wrong? Anyway, we inside when you thought they say, that man Jello, he just sitting down in America there, he packing cartoon. That why he talking for when you give it to him. That's why I will not do it. All right. Any caller, gentlemen? We don't have caller here. Let's wrap it up. Let's go around the room, starting with Evans, Dr. Pearson, and Mr. Sharif for your closing.
Look, thank you, Mr. Jai. I think it was a great show. Look, people who remember the war, and I was young during the war, but a lot of people was paying debt, was pointing out their landlords, people who they felt have treated them prior to the war, and they went against them and killed people who they felt like, wrongfully evicted them, whether they were down their luck, they didn't get any sympathy or mercy. Stupid, petty things like that, people got killed for during the war. And this is about political parties, not about individuals.
I was there, right? One rebel picking say when you used to buy kobo from the Oman never used to dash him. One guy he say, you never dash me. The other person saw somebody high school diploma and say, hey, that thing I've been looking for a hell of a long time. Where you get it from? He killed that one to take the diploma.
Oh man.
Yeah, so petty things like this can create grudges, especially when it feels like the government was the thumb on the scale that went against, your interest. So I think the court system, if it's legitimate, that's why I want to see other details. Because if it's just about ownership and turning it over to another party, and then that party decide whether or not they want to lease or rent it out to another, then it's fine. I mean, if it's legally done, I have no issue with it. But if it's politically driven and you're trying to, diminish the popularity of one political party, then again, when it comes to that MCC, what you've been wanting for so long, $500 million, the United States government is watching all of these things. They're going to give you a report 1 year down the line that you have been putting, undue pressure on political parties and you're trying to stifle political freedom in the country. And that's going to hinder you when it comes to getting your MCC compact. So I think President Boakai has gone from worse to better, a little better in terms of, I guess they kind of settled now because they got all the different, branches of government in their grips. So I don't think they're really fighting anymore to take people from position. But he's doing the same thing and not respecting the rule of law. And seemingly, this is not entirely on him, but it's seemingly politically influenced, and this is going against the CDC. Although I sympathize with him, but if it was completely legally and transparently done, I would have no issues with it. a good show overall. I think the trip is pointless. I think the president should come back home and focus on more domestic, policies and how he can raise more revenue and how he can do things in the country that's going to benefit the citizens immediately, and not going to other countries begging for a few $1 million here. Not going to transform the country. Building infrastructure in the country, building the brains of the future of the country. Those are the things that already impact the country in the long term. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Dr. Pearson.
Thank you, Venice. I think it was a good show also, and I'm very disturbed tonight when I think about the unnecessary tension building up in Liberia with the whole CDC stuff that is avoidable. I think it's a saver case. When I live in Liberia for all my life, when the court had eviction, the sheriff come and serve you, and then they tell you that we gave you X and X day to get out their property. If you don't get out in, or you put up resistance, the next time they come back, they come with law enforcement to get your things out and put it to the door and put a lock on your door. We should understand that there's no need for political tension in Liberia. If there's a court eviction, serve it. If you serve the court eviction and the people are not willing to listen to the court eviction, yes, go there and have them physically removed. I agree with that. But don't preempt the court eviction when the party who's supposed to be receiving the eviction notice have not even gotten it. That's totally ridiculous, completely ridiculous. And I would say, President Boakai, let us use our foreign service experts as much as we can. Don't wait until a year conference coming. You put a whole 40 person on plane. We have embassies in our country, and we have ambassadors and consulate generals outside of the country. Let us have a continual engagement on our pertinent issues that we want to engage in for development, and not wait for conference for everybody to go on pleasure ride and put DSA in the pocket to come back and put a zinc on the houses or build a new fence or get a government new rent money for that kind of nonsense. Liberia needs all the time we can have. Let us balance the policy rationale between what we say happening in the country and how we demonstrate what we're looking for on the outside. Last but not the least, President Boakai, when people not performing, dismiss them. That whole thing about committee is they're telling me in my company, I made you supervisor and you distribute responsibility and you doing the work exactly, they pass the work on to your neighbor. You don't do that. In a highly performing country and environment, people don't perform, they get the door. People who can perform take the role, and that's it. Observe the policies that you executing and formulating because they're going to have impact. Don't institute a policy and come and say, then what happening? Duh, your policy is what happening. Fix your policy, and then you look at the results. If you don't want the results, then adjust the very policies that you enforce. Thank you, Dennis, for having me tonight.
Mr. Sharif.
Thank you, Dennis. So, one thing I do believe is, with all this committees to, talk about the price of rice, the price of flour, the price of petroleum and building materials. In the meantime, they're not talking about industries. They're not talking about industrializing Liberia. They're not talking about, Liberian-owned, industries. Making sure that happens. Things that are exported out of the country, that they stay in country, so that we become the exporters, not the importer, because the Liberian economy is heavily import based. So whatever geopolitical dynamics, fluctuations happen out there, impacts the Liberian economy. So one of the things that they should really study, through the Commerce Ministry or the Finance Ministry maybe, is some of those things. And when I was talking about how they should lean on some knowledgeable Liberians that can share their expertise with them, those are the kind of things I was talking about. Not necessarily going out there working your life for these people for free, and that there's a lot of people are stealing money, but just areas that you can look at, because there was a time, even the sugar that they're talking about with sugar prices going up. Lipsuko was in Maryland County, was in Kipama, somewhere in Maryland. I don't quite know where that now, but there was a Lipsuko at one point in time. There was a shoes factory at one point in time. There was a mattress factory at one point in time. There was all these factories at one point in time in Liberia. But since the coup d'etat and the Civil War, the country has gone back like 200-300 years. This is where we are now. And even advance beyond that. You got countries like Rwanda that went through bitter civil war. Look at where they are now. You got places like, Uganda that had, civil war as a war as well. Look at where they are now. And Jackie talks to us every time about Zambia, about Zimbabwe and about all these, SADC countries in Southern Africa, which means, Dennis, we have to take a trip down there.
Yeah, definitely.
We got to go to Southern Africa. And then, we will save the worst for last. The worst, we will end the tour in Liberia. You always save worst for last, okay? I mean, look, we gotta go to Southern Africa. I'm serious. I'm serious about this. So let's do it, because, that way we will have a different perspective on when we're talking about Liberia. We will bring different perspective to, the conversation. Like when I went to India, I saw the Indian people. I mean, these are, over 1 billion people, 1.5 billion people. How the hell they're able to feed themselves? And you have 5 million people can't feed themselves, always hungry, begging, because the government makes the people that way, because the government is culpable in all of this that's happening to the Liberian people. And it's a disgrace, and the people themselves should be outraged by some of this. I'm indignant, by some of what I see, every single day.
Mr. Sherry, India have the one of the largest amount of people living in poverty in the world. In Southern Africa, there's not an apple to apple comparison in West Africa. A lot of white people live in this country that has built up those economies. That's why they're doing a lot better than us in the West.
Well,
so those little caveats to give you an insight.
There's no excuse for Liberia.
No, I'm saying South Africa. You look at Zambia, Namibia. All those places have a lot of white population that's helped build their economies.
But that should even be the South part, right?
Yes.
Oh, the people get white people, so they better. So we don't
get. They have a global hegemony on commerce. You know how it works.
No. That's not what it is. But why should we think that these people are the great saviors that wherever they're at?
Because their brothers in Europe will collaborate with them easier than us in West Africa, who are purely a black nation.
That's
so
wrong.
Ghana, how many white people in Kigali and also in Accra? But anyway, let's end it there, because I don't want us to get in the rabbit of the whiter the better.
Interesting.
Okay. Well, it's true. There's truth behind it.
You can't in the Jato?
Let's go. I think it's time to go.
That is not nice. But we're going to close on this note. Thank you, gentlemen, for tonight. See you tomorrow at 10 a.m. on Kia Radio, and also at 6, you'll see Mr. CA here with the debate everybody is talking about. I see Ms. Dr. Pearson is already intimidated.
I'm waiting for that debate. I'm actually on Dr. Pearson's side, so I'll call and give my input.
Yeah. Okay. We'll close with a song that says, "We are all Liberians." Have a good night.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.